All right. So hi everyone, welcome, coming on, everyone's coming on. We're gonna, once we get started, we're gonna mute all you guys so you don't have to worry about that. We'll do that. We're gonna start doing that in about 1 minute. We'll mute everyone. And then there's a chat at the bottom. So we're gonna start in about 1 minute. Yes, chat. Hello. Cool. Hi, Joel Austin. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Valerie.
Who's this? 310. You don't have a
me,
name.
Lindsay. I'm Lindsay Worm. Hi.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay. Hello.
Hi. I muted myself immediately because I'm just used to doing that on these type of things. So, hello, everybody.
Hello. Okay, let me make sure everyone's manage participants and oh no, I unmuted you because you already unmuted yourself. Duh. Okay, good. All right. Hey, it's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock and time to get things
Great.
started.
We are going. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar over here in my corner because I feel like I'm on what is that? Hollywood Squares. That's my sister, Amelia, and that's my brother-in-law, Greg, and they're going to lead this this webinar this morning. But what I want to talk to you, first of all, I want to say hello. I'm Valerie Hubbard, if you don't know, and some of you are watching this recording, and I'm the CEO of Actors Fast Track, changing the way actors do business. One of our big conversations that we're having this year is a lot of actors realize that they have a business, but if you're not making a living acting, then we are about making sure that your business is functioning as a profitable acting business, that you're actually making money to act. And I just want to share really quick because we've heard a lot from one of our clients, Doreen, this morning, and Doreen has been working with us for a year, and last year when she hired us, she hadn't done a co-star since the 90s, and she was really stuck and nothing was happening for her. And she's had an amazing year since working with Actors Fast Track, and she just posted on our client page that she got her health insurance for the first time in years from actually making enough money as an actress this year to get her health insurance. Hi, Rebecca Knowles. And she's and that's so exciting, and she's actually made a living wage this year as an actor, and that's really what we're all about, is making sure that you guys are making a living wage as an actor, that you're making a living acting, and that you're thinking like business people. So when we start to talk about business, what do we start to talk about? Money. Right? And every time I bring up money with actors, it's like the room clears. I couldn't believe how many people signed up for this webinar today, and we're talking about money and taxes, and I'm like, wow, you guys are brave. I noticed that it's mostly all clients, so you should be brave, but that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're going to be talking about at our Game Changer. If you don't know, we have a 3-day event. It's coming up November 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's the Actors Fast Track Game Changer event. Right now, at this very moment, you can get a refundable ticket. So that means if you go to our website, and I posted it on the chat, it's aftgamechangers.com. Hi, Jude. You can get a refundable ticket. What do I mean by that? This event is not a cheap event. It's expensive. And so in order to pay for that event, I need to make sure that the people that say they're coming are going to be there. Because if you say you're coming, I'm getting you a very expensive binder. I'm making sure that there's drinks and hors d'oeuvres for you when there's drinks and hors d'oeuvres. And I'm making sure there's coffee and there's a chair for you. And that costs money. And so if you say you're coming and you give me $97, I promise I'll have that check for you day one when you show up to the event, but I need you to have skin in the game. So that's why we charge you and then give you the money back. So just wanted to explain what that meant. And you can go to AFT Game Changer right now and get that complimentary ticket, and that's not going to be around for very much longer. So make sure you get that ticket and join us when we really get the whole business. That's what we're going to be talking about in those 3 days. So part of what I want to bring to you guys is information that you need, and that's what Greg and Amelia do. Greg and Amelia have had their own tax business for 20 plus years. Is that true, you guys?
Yeah, since 1996.
Since 1996, so they're at 20 years. And Amelia went recently, and I'll let them explain everything, but what they're doing is tax settlement. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, it's tax resolution.
Tax
is
resolution.
what it's called, but basically we fix stuff. We're fixers, and we do it all legally within the bounds of what the Internal Revenue Service offers, in addition to offering tax preparation services. But our primary focus is fixing issues for people, or figuring out how not to have those people get in those issues in the first place.
Right.
That's what we do.
Okay, great. So I am going to, sorry, I'm like, if you guys, I'm going to mute you as you come on, and if I miss you, but it'll make it a little easier. I'm getting a little feedback. Hold on a second. Let me do that. Okay, great. We're all muted. If you have questions, we're going to, once I turn it over to them, I'll be paying attention to the chat section, which is below. So if you want to chat and you want to ask a question, please ask, and we're going to take moments. What's going to happen now is I'm going to turn it over to Greg and Amelia, and they're going to start their program. They're going to talk to you about 5 minutes. If you have questions, we'll take a little break in about 5 minutes and answer those questions, and then go back to the information. They have a lot of information to give you today to help you, so feel free to type in your questions as we go. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Greg, and not spend too much more time. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Greg Younce and Amelia Younce, my sister and brother-in-law. Yay.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
First want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to Valerie, and to each one of you who are taking your valuable time today to spend some time with us. Our main focus is really two things. We're here to help, and we're here to protect. The information we're going to present to you today is designed to help you and protect you at the same time. So it keeps you from having a potential problem with the Internal Revenue Service in the future. Or if you have a problem, we'll be able to tell you how to address that. We're going to try to make this as fun as we know how, because we know that Internal Revenue Service issues aren't at the top of people's list when it comes to fun. So I've got a little thing to get started here. Take me just a second, and we'll get rolling. We'll start with a little movie, just a minute or so. You don't have to run for the popcorn. It won't be that long. Whoops, wait a second. Let me back up. See if the movie doesn't want to run today. So let me just go ahead and get started into the presentation itself. As you know, Amelia and I are Tax Solvers LLC. That's our company. Seated to my left is Amelia. And I'll give you our names here. That's last name is Younce. You don't have to worry about how to pronounce it. We're actors' best friends forever when it comes to taxes, because we either have answers or we know where to find them. So there's a lot in the tax code, so we don't have an immediate answer for you. At least our expertise is in knowing where to find that answer. And you can find more information about our company at taxsolversllc.com if you'd like to visit our website. Again, it's taxsolversllc.com. Or you can give us a call. It's 1-877-828-2976. And we're going to play a little game today. You'll see in the first segment, you'll see some actors' pictures. So if you list those actors correctly in the proper order, we're going to let you take 10% off any future services if you choose to do business with us in the future. That offer will expire September 30th, 2015. So you can feel free to get out your pens. All that I ask is don't share the answers in chat. So no cheating, just submit your own answers, if you will. And you can submit those answers to our website at taxsolversllc@gmail.com, or email address rather, taxsolversllc@gmail. As Valerie mentioned, there will be a general question and answer session that will follow our live today. In case you didn't know, that's a picture of Amelia. She's seated directly to my left. So let's talk first why actors are targets when it comes to the Internal Revenue Service. They're targets because they're public recognizable figures. And the Internal Revenue Service uses this status as a public deterrent, so that when the average Joe sits down with TurboTax 2 days before the deadline to do their taxes, pulls out all their documentation, and decides that they might want to fudge the numbers a little bit on their tax return, they remember seeing media stories and public information about individuals who got caught. That's what I mean when I say public deterrents. They're also targets from an IRS perspective because actors' income levels can be significant, and with significant income comes the issues that are tax related. Also, the mobility within the industry often creates state-based tax consequences, which means that a lot of you will have auditions in other states, and that creates a state-based tax consequence, either on a W-2 or other income source, which has to be reported, of course, at the end of the year. So we're going to start with 5 basic tips, nothing too intimidating. The first one here is to always file on time. The reason that if you don't file on time, you need to file an extension. But when you file an extension, here's a point of confusion for a lot of people. An extension is of time to file the tax return, not of time to pay if you owe. So if you have a balance due, the interest accrues from the deadline of that particular year, whether that's April 15th or in some years it's April 18th. So if there happens to be a balance due, then there will be interest and penalties that accrue from the original due date of the tax return. The second and very important component that a lot of people forget about is getting organized. And we're going to include an actor-specific organizer to help each one of you. And we want to make it as simple as possible. So that actor organizer is simply a one-page document that you can use and structure for your comfort level as to your own record-keeping processes. Something else that a lot of people fail to understand is even if you pay a tax professional like us or someone else, you're still personally responsible for every item that's on the tax return. So you can't pay someone a set amount of money and then say, I'm not responsible for what's on line 7, because the Internal Revenue Service will hold you responsible for the information that's on the tax return. This is a really sneaky, very easy way to keep track of things from 20 years of experience. Put all of your expenses on the same debit or credit card for the year. And when you do that, you'll have a running total on a single sheet of paper or a couple of sheets of paper from that entity that'll give you basically all of your expenses. And then it becomes a very easy thing to organize your life, so you don't have receipts or other information flowing all over the place. Although it's not in the presentation, let me step off for a moment and talk about receipts. Whether you use us as a tax professional or whomever you use will really appreciate the fact that you don't actually bring your full receipts to your tax appointment when it's time to do that each year. All a tax professional really wants is an accurate record of what it says on those receipts. Now, you do want to keep those receipts in case the Internal Revenue Service ever asks for proof of information that's on the tax return. But what comes to mind for most people is the proverbial shoebox that has all the receipts in it. You don't actually need to bring that in for any tax preparation appointment. You just simply need to put the total of the expenses on an organizer and have that on one sheet of paper, and that's what you provide. And of course, maintain the backup documentation, and we'll talk about how long you keep that a little bit later in today's presentation. If you're paid on a 1099 miscellaneous form, as a lot of actors are, remember you're personally responsible for the payment associated with the taxes on the monies that are on the 1099, and we'll get into more detail on that as well. This was important, and I wanted to point it out to you. If you look at it and go, really, are they kidding? No, we're not. Everybody who's affiliated with Actors Fast Track, everybody who's on the presentation today gets a free 30-minute tax consultation from us, personally, one-on-one. Now, all we ask is that you use that consultation by October 17, 2016. You can ask pretty much anything you want of us as a part of that free consultation. Again, it's perfectly private. We in a one-on-one situation with a webcam like we're on today. And so people then ask, well, how can we schedule that free consultation that you just offered us? Here's what you need to do. Schedule online. There's a free real-time 30-minute consult for Actors Fast Track. You'll find that at our website at www.taxsolversllc.com. Again, use it no later than October 17, 2016. Thank you for honoring that. And when we meet, you'll use your smartphone, your tablet, your webcam-enabled computer, or we can do it by phone if you're not the techie sort. We'll give you a security code, which makes the thing 100% private. The only thing we ask as a part of that free meeting is that the tax questions must be related to you. You can use them for organization purposes. You can use them to review your prior year tax return to see if you've missed some deductions, or to talk about things that might be happening in your future. And we value that 30-minute consultation at $150. Please do take advantage of your earliest convenience. We're here to help and protect, and we'd love to help you. So why are taxes so hard for actors? That's because the tax code has over 76,000 pages in it. When taxes were started way back in 1913, it had 400 pages. And now, as you can see, it's over 76,000. Of course, well, we are pretty smart, but we don't have total photographic memory, so we don't know all 76,000 pages, but we do know where to find the most important parts as they relate to your profession and your particular situation. That's why it becomes such a complex situation for folks.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Do you have your PowerPoint? Because we're not seeing it. Are you sharing it?
I am. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Is anyone else seeing it? Yeah. I just want to, I wanted, yeah, we're not seeing it.
Okay. Oh, no.
I've been typing notes. So I just didn't want you to know that we weren't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me, okay. What we'll do is we'll go re-record the, we'll re-record the earlier part for you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Oh,
all right,
there we go. There we go.
Further, can you guys see that?
Yeah, now we can.
Look, if you got just a couple minutes, I'll start over real quick.
No. I mean, I go
you want me to
through.
move?
Let's see. No, but I definitely think we should see the things that you talked about. I tried posting them all, like the tips.
Okay.
I got them all
right,
posted,
let's move to where we are.
Yeah. Because we didn't get to do the test with the actors.
All right. So.
Sorry, I thought when you said you were having, I just didn't want to interrupt you. So here's all of his stuff. Okay.
All right.
All right.
So these are the tips again.
These are the actors that we have to guess, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey,
all
start
right.
here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, let's start there.
Okay. So again, as we talked about, so those are the Those are the first actors. This is the next batch, guys.
No, go back to the old ones so we can write them down. Because we're very competitive. Okay. Go, bitches. They're laughing at me.
Yeah, you might have to go back and watch the recording. Sorry, we didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's move on.
All right.
All right, and so this is where we were. Thanks for letting me know. People ask me why Wesley Snipes got in trouble with the IRS, although his case was pretty complex. What happened in that particular case was his CPA claimed that he should get every dollar refunded back to him that he paid in taxes because he actually wasn't legally required to pay taxes, which wasn't the truth. So, so he got in a little trouble, and actually, bad advice not only landed Wesley Snipes in prison, it landed the CPA that did his taxes in prison as well. So just a reminder, remember to use the free consult no later than October 17th. A famous American guy was sent to prison for failing to file his taxes. His name, well, he was the original Scarface, you might know who that is. Al Capone, that's who that was, but not this particular actor who had. So those of you playing along, guess that one. Tax Solver's parent company is Tax Savers. That's Amelia and I. We own that, and we've completed more than 40,000 tax returns nationwide since 1996. So when it comes to things from a tax perspective, we've pretty much seen it all. Here's another number to think about. We've had three client audits in the past 20 years. So we're pretty proud of that fact. So
That's good.
I know the actors in math are kind of like screen doors on a submarine, and that sometimes they don't mesh very well, and we understand that completely when it comes from an artistic perspective. So we're patient people, and we'll teach you everything you need to know just to make sure that that you don't have a problem going forward. What does nearly every actor pictured today in our little contest have in common? Well, they've all had a major IRS issue. In fact, 14 million people have had IRS collection issues currently. So that includes this guy.
He has other
For
issues.
those of you playing the game. And it also includes her as well. Well, these are all great people. Basically learned that if you have a tax problem without qualified help, the IRS equals lawyers, because they're pretty connected on that line. But again, we can help in that regard. We're in business to help two types of people: those who want to legally avoid a tax issue, and those people that already have a major tax issue. And we're going to talk about how to address some tax problems if you have them in actually our next segment. So I think do we have any people that have asked any questions now, Val? This is a good place to
no, but go back. I'd like to know those 5 things again, because that's what's coming up, right? Yeah, so I had put all your expenses on the debit card, file on time.
Let's back up really quickly.
And I apologize. What we could do, because Barry, you're going to send out like an email on Saturday. We could put the whole PowerPoint in that email.
If you look at it online, you'll see them.
Right. So they were file on time, put all your expenses on the same debit or credit card, keep all your receipts.
Basically file on time.
Get organized.
And then, just know that you're responsible for whatever's on your tax return. Even if a tax preparer is doing it, the IRS still sees you as the responsible person. So you don't want someone we're very conservative. And so you don't want someone that's gonna, do crazy stuff.
Exactly. Now,
If
and I
they're
have a
out there,
question. I
unfortunately.
do have a question. So, like, say that here's what happens. I think what happens is that I get overwhelmed about how much I have to pay or how much I have to do. So that's why I don't file on time. And so, filing on time is, it doesn't mean that you have to pay if you owe necessarily. It just means you need to send them something and send your forms in so it's on time. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we'll actually talk a little bit more about how to do that logistically in our next segment.
Okay.
There's something called estimated taxes, and that's basically paying your tax ahead of time. And we'll give you a few tricks actually in the next segment on how to
Okay,
handle
great.
that. The Internal Revenue
Let's
Service
hop in.
really-
Then let's hop into the next segment.
Okay, happy to do that.
Sorry about the PowerPoint. I was like, I didn't want to interrupt, and so I should interrupt. That's what I'm here
okay.
for.
We'll
Okay.
fix that.
And and just so you know too, we'll during the question and answer right before that, we're going to attempt to send the organizer to everybody through chat. But
Okay.
then we'll also attach it to the email that I think is coming out Saturday.
Yeah, I already wrote that. There's an email coming out Saturday, and we'll attach the organizer. The organizer's phenomenal. So
We're
I know
gonna
you guys
try to
will wanna
push it
get
out
that.
through chat if we can get that
Yeah.
done. So.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay, so 5 things to know if you already know or think you might have a tax problem. Okay, if you already have a tax issue, relax. We can help you, and we do mean help. Here are 5 tips that are going to make solving any tax issue amazingly stress-free for you. Most things that people don't think about or know. The first one is that the IRS has a legal fresh start program. Most of the program rules are highly complex, and we know all the rules with all of the 12 different programs that are available. You won't fit in all 12, but you will fit in one of them that's designed to release any burden that might exist. The second thing, and this is pretty important because this is an intimidating part of the process, our clients never talk to the IRS. We handle all communications, both written and verbal, on our client's behalf. All you have to do is simply sign an IRS power of attorney on file with us. It's a 2-page document, sign it, and then we can electronically access your IRS file all the way back to 1990. So you don't have to worry about, well, I don't have the original documents. There's no lost document mess to actually consider, because we're going to take care of all of the communications, both written and verbal, with the IRS if you allow us to handle your particular issue. This is something that most people don't necessarily know, because they think, well, if I have an IRS debt, it's going to be with me hanging over my back for the rest of my life. And it's not. The IRS can only collect on a tax debt for a statute of 10 years.
Cool.
So, that's once they assess it. Once those 10 years are done from the point of assessment, then whatever's left to pay has to legally go away. So that's an important thing to understand. From a business perspective, we personally only accept 60 new clients a year that have a tax issue. And we do that so that we can maximize the success that we have with the Internal Revenue Service. They can be a real challenge to negotiate with, and it's usually not a slam dunk. It usually takes some time. We only will take issues that we know that we can solve. And if we do take your case, we accept payments. They're affordable, they're comfortable, and they're interest-free. So we just wanted you to know that. The fifth idea here is that tax returns are actually voluntary. However, if you don't choose to submit one in a timely manner, the IRS will do one for you. It's called, and they call it an SFR, or substitute for return. And what they do is they take the information that's been given to them by your employers, and they basically fill out a tax return. But when they do it, they don't give you any deductions whatsoever. So that makes it a situation where there's generally a large payment due at the end of it. But we can fix that issue by submitting a real tax return with the true deductions that exists. So those are just some things to keep in mind.
We have some questions.
Fire away.
Okay, great. So Scott Cargill asked, I want to start my acting business in 2016. I have expenses but no income. Can I claim a loss in the first year?
Yes, you can. The Internal Revenue Service doesn't expect any business, whether it's acting or otherwise, to be profitable in year number one. What the Internal Revenue Service asks is that you're profitable 3 out of 5 years. So, and they don't define profitable. So in our eyes, profit means making $1. If that's what has to show on the tax form, that's what has to show. So the answer to your question is yes, you can certainly file a loss, and we'll tell you what form that goes on and how that occurs actually in our next segment. If you do have W-2 or other income, that loss actually helps offset that. So the fact that you do submit a tax return with a loss on it doesn't mean you're more likely to be audited, especially not early in the process. If it's year number 1 or 2, you just can't maintain those losses for a significant period of time. So the IRS wants to see profit 3 out of 5 years.
Perfect. And then Nancy Finn said, I'm in the same boat. I collected New Jersey unemployment benefits, and my acting income is so far $55 in cash.
And so, Nancy, the same answer for you as well. If there happens to be a loss, it just offsets other income that exists. As we talked about earlier, how they can generate state-based issues, then there's a potential for having to do a New Jersey tax return in that particular case too, just to cover those kinds of things. But that's, and if you have personal issues that obviously we don't have time to discuss today, that's the precise reason that your 30-minute consult is out there, that we want to address personally.
Yeah, and there's no charge for that 30 minutes. So that's so sweet of you guys to do that for these.
Yeah, and it will be both Greg and I. And we use Zoom. That's what we use. So it
good, perfect.
The same thing. It'll just be one-on-one.
All right, and we have one more from Joel Austin. He says, so I know you said it's beneficial to keep all expenses on a separate card. Would you say this is true for income as well? Like, should I have an account just for acting funds?
In a perfect world, that's a good idea.
I'm shaking my head, yes.
In a perfect world, that's a good idea. Logistically, we don't see it happen that often. But yes, the reason to do that is that if you are ever in a situation where you're audited and the IRS asks about your income, all you have to do is take in the income portion and say, here it is. Where most people that what's called commingle the money are in the situation of having to prove their income, they have to dump their entire checkbook out in the eyes of the IRS, and that's where you have a problem, because then all of a sudden you've admitted every line item into the conversation with the IRS, which is not what you want to do. So yes, in a perfect world, you want to keep everything separate.
Perfect.
It's hard to do, but yeah, we would strongly encourage that.
Awesome.
Right.
Okay, that's it. So let's keep going.
Any other questions? Okay, so people say, well, look, if you've got some solutions, how long can a solution take? Obviously, we're real people and we have real solutions. The issue is that they can take anywhere from 90 days to a year if you already have a problem, depending upon the solution that works best for you. And this is not because we're slow in our processing, it's because the IRS is backlogged and understaffed. You might imagine that when the IRS asks Congress for money, they're about the lowest people on the list to get appropriated new money. So they have computers that they work with that are older than you can possibly imagine. They're the last on the list, it seems, to get pencils in stock, because nobody wants to give money to the IRS, including Congress. So things are a bit behind in terms of their technology. Now, how bad is it for you if you try to do this yourself? Well, congratulations if you make that effort. But according to a report from the Taxpayer Advocate Service, only 37% of the calls made to the IRS customer service from January 1st to April 18th in 2015 were actually answered. That means the rest of the folks had to try again later. If you did get through, the average wait time for those who did manage to get through to customer service was a whopping 23 minutes. Most of you have better things to do with your life than sit on hold and wait for the IRS. Now what the IRS does, they have an automated message that says, now's not a good time to talk to us. try again later, and they automatically hang up. So you never get to that individual.
And let me tell you one thing is that we do have they put together a special line. So if I have a power of attorney on file, I can call the IRS and I only have to wait about 30 minutes because I have a special line that I can call. And so, because actually right now, this year, there are times when people are waiting over an hour for their call to be answered. It's actually gotten worse, unfortunately.
So think of it like the bat phone, but it really doesn't exist like that. But it is a special line for us to call if we have to on your behalf, and we'll certainly do that. Another thing to understand when you're on the phone with the IRS, anything they tell you on the phone is not bound by law. If you sit there on the hold long enough and listen, you'll hear the disclaimer which says only written law is enforceable. So if somebody says, yeah, we see the information on file, it looks great, that might not be what the actual written law says. So if you listen long enough, you'll hear that disclaimer. We don't just handle federal problems, so we can handle state issues as well from any state in America. Amelia is what's called an enrolled agent. She doesn't actually have a badge, but it is the highest credential awarded by the U.S. Treasury. So we can solve some things like tax liens or wage garnishments, unfiled tax returns, offers in compromise, audits, partial pay installments, innocent and injured spouse, any kind of IRS collection matters, and a whole lot more stuff that we don't have time to even talk about today. So whatever it is, we're happy to discuss it with you, get a plan of attack, and move forward if you so choose. People say, hey, look, I already have a CPA. What makes you guys different? There are 1 million tax preparers in the United States. There are about 600,000 CPAs. The difference is that the CPAs are only licensed in the state that they do business in. There are 50,000 enrolled agents with the highest federal credential that we talked about earlier. Amelia is one of those. Of those 50,000, there's only about 2,500 in America that have specialized training for people with IRS tax problems. The lady to my left, Amelia, is one of those people.
My sister.
And we are proud members of the American Society of Tax Problem Solvers, which none of you probably heard of until today. We get this question all the time. Hey, we only charge you for services that you might need. Our services are all fixed fee. We don't bill by the hour. They're disclosed upfront in writing. Again, use your free consult to discuss your specific situation or any issues you might have with us. That's one of the reasons that it's there. Don't forget to reach out to Amelia or I if you have any questions. Again, the email address is taxsolversllc@gmail.com. So feel free to fire that off. We try to be responsive, and most of the time we are able to answer within the 24-hour window if you have a question there. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions that I can address before we get to the next?
Nope. That's it. That is it. No questions right now.
Okay. I just want to go over this real quick. We have some special limited offers for those of you viewing today for Actors Fast Track viewers only. You snooze, you lose, so act fast. I'll go over these really quickly. You can watch the recorded version to get in more detail. The VIP option is $75 a year, and what we do for that is we do daily IRS transcript monitoring for account changes within the IRS, or for identity theft monitoring within the IRS, and we also do past tax return review as a part of that.
And one thing to be aware of is that when we do this, we actually get notified 2 to 3 weeks ahead of you getting a letter. So like if the IRS is sending you a letter for an audit or just to question something on your tax return, we actually get notified 2 to 3 weeks before they even send the letter. So that gives us, we can keep like heads up on it, and we can even call you and say, hey, this letter's on the way.
Yeah, so the VIP service is $75 if you want to do that. We've got a couple of plans out there that are pretty similar. One's the red carpet plan. We have 10 subscriber max on this. It's $500 total, and we'll do 2 years worth of income tax for you, complete with up to 2 states with free electronic filing everywhere on all available returns, available nationwide.
That's a
And
good
we'll
deal.
split that up into a couple of payments for you if that's something you're interested in. The other variant of that is actually a longer term of the same deal. It's $750 for 5 years, spread out over 3 payments. So if that's something that you want to
That's a great deal.
consider, then talk to us about that.
And those can be past year tax returns if you are behind, or start from now and go to the future.
Yep. And the last thing, if you know you already have a tax problem, here's an offer you can't refuse. We call it the Untouchables Plan. We'll start today for $350. Access all your IRS records electronically. Go all the way back to 1990 if necessary. We'll design a personalized, customized, fixed fee plan for you that will fix your issues permanently with affordable, convenient monthly payments.
If you have like a tax problem, because I know a few people that are listening to this, not necessarily that are here today, that have some pretty major tax problems, do you guys do you help settle for less than what we owe?
Yes. We can't technically use the term pennies on the dollar because that's illegal now, but we have several plans that are designed to have people pay less than the full amount. Depends on if you qualify and what your particular situation is. You see a lot about those kinds of plans on television, the most common of which is what's called an offer and compromise. The offer and compromise program itself, the IRS only generally accepts about 40% of those applications. The other 60% they don't. But there are other programs out there, even if you're not able to get into the offer and compromise program. Those do take some time to get through the Internal Revenue Service processing. It might take up to a year, but if we're able to save you tens of thousands of dollars in the process, it's usually well worth it for most people. So yes, there are a variety of options. It depends on what your personal situation qualifies for.
Got it.
We'll go over all of it with you. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, let's move along. We're going to send that information out. So in terms of the organizer, on the bottom of the organizer, you'll find a universal payment link for all of our plans mentioned today. And if you weren't able to attend the live event or watch the recording on this, what we want you to do in the invoice portion, you'll want to use the code word or code letters AFT and then the plan name. So like AFT VIP or AFT Gold or AFT Red, whichever plan you want. Fill out your information and we'll be happy to get that processed for you. We're moving on to our third and final segment here. So I'm just going to keep moving along unless you have anything.
No, we're good. We're good.
Right.
We're over, but that's okay. It's great information.
Yeah, sorry about that. And this is kind of gets into some more meat and potatoes. This is kind of important, so people want to pay attention here. Your income and expenses go on a form called Schedule C. And so again, if you're a first-year actor and you don't have a lot of income, but you have a lot of expenses, those actually go on the Schedule C form. When you add a Schedule C form to your tax return, it increases your audit risk by 100 times. But don't worry about it, because if you have legitimate records for everything you put on the Schedule C, then there's no reason to lose any sleep at night. If you do earn more than $400 after expenses, you're subject to something called self-employment tax. What self-employment tax is, it's your portion of Medicare and Social Security, which gets assessed once a year as a part of your tax return. Now, if you work on a W-2, your employer pays these for you. When you're self-employed, you have to pay them, and you pay them as a part of the tax return that you file.
So that would be like if you get, like we mentioned before, if you get paid on a 1099 miscellaneous, then this would apply to you.
Okay.
People ask how long to keep a tax return. Now, everybody recommends something different, but we say this pretty simply. We recommend that you keep your taxes for 6 years for returns without the purchase of property or stocks or any kind of securities on it, or for returns with a home purchase or stock purchase on it until the property gets sold. So just a couple of things to think about. And if you forget about what I said today, just go back and look at it again. Top 5 deductions for actors that many people forget about. Union dues is the big one. Mileage and travel expenses to and from auditions. Agent and agency fees. And coaching and actor education expenses. So for those of you that have a membership, don't forget to put those expenses on your tax return. They are deductible. Also
they can deduct me too, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what that would be. Coaching and actor education.
Yeah, y'all can deduct me.
Yes, your expenses are deductible.
And there's some other stuff you get to deduct, which includes these aren't dollar for dollar, but things like makeup, hair care, wardrobe, legal and professional fees, tickets for films or plays. And the tickets for the films and the plays aren't dollar for dollar. But other items that are often used include video cameras, sound equipment, musical scores, computers, and to an extent, cell phones.
And all the stuff that because a lot of these guys are, having to have stuff to put themselves on tape. I mean, everyone's putting themselves on tape. So
exactly.
all that stuff, like a lighting kits and all that. Yeah.
All that equipment becomes deductible. And I did want to mention for the actors tax plans that we talked about earlier during our event, if you order, I'm going to change this date on here. It says September 9th, but since we're going to put the video out on the 10th of September, we're going to make that September 10th at midnight local time. If you order any one of our plans that we talked about briefly, after you review them, we'll throw in the free VIP service, which is the monitoring for identity theft and the monitoring of your IRS account as well. We'll just throw that in if you order before September 10th at midnight local time. Again, the order form is at the bottom of the tax organizer. We'll send all of those out to you in a minute. Or if you don't want to order on the web, give us a call. It's 1-877-828-2976 is the
yeah, because we, look, you guys, a lot of you that have said to me, we have tax issues and I have tax issues, and we know we don't want you to talk about them on this. We want you to have that private time to be able to talk to these guys and say, look, I owe such and such, and I don't know how to get around that. And so that's why we wanted to offer you, a half an hour to talk privately with Greg and Amelia about any of your tax questions. Joel says, oh my God, I'm not deducting so much. You guys can be deducting quite a lot. And Joel, you have your whole, you could probably Joel has a podcast that he does for actors, and he's got quite a lot of followers, and I'm sure he spends some major money on that.
Oh yeah. All that equipment.
And that's definitely, the kind of thing we can help people with, because, a lot of people, even just anybody that has a business or that has a lot of expenses like that, they forget or they don't realize. And what I always say is, if you're spending the money because of your business or for the purpose of your business, then it's deductible, and like I said, we're conservative. We don't do crazy things and tell people to deduct stuff they don't have receipts for, but we try to help people maximize the legitimate deductions.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And we briefly touched on this earlier. I want to take a moment to talk about estimated taxes. Think of those as paying ahead so that you aren't faced with a big tax bill at tax time, because that's the intimidating part for people. So the trick is to avoid underpayment penalties on the current year tax return. You have to pay 90% of the assessed taxes on your tax return. So during the year, you're supposed to pay a factor of 90%. Now, if you've started making estimated payments already, keep doing those. Estimated payments are based on the amount of income you expect, and we can talk about that privately. But here's a trick. If you haven't started already, the secret is send in one estimated payment at your convenience. Just make sure you do it before January 17th of next year. That's the deadline. We give you a voucher, send a lump sum of money, and that basically credits forward on next year's tax return,
The
on the 2016 tax return, I should say. The other thing to understand is any tax strategy that you might want to implement, you've got to do it before the end of the calendar year. Because if you think about it in January, you're already actually in the next year, and it's generally too late to do anything that impacts your taxes, which is why we're talking about this right now. Another tip, if you get paid on a 1099, what we recommend, it's not always economically feasible for folks, save 30% of it back in a savings account for federal consequences and a maximum of 10% for state in a savings account. So if it's on a 1099 and it's a lump sum of money, if you were able to do that, I need to tell you to try to save that back for the filing of the tax return. Most people forget that a tax refund is actually your own money paid back a year later without interest in the form of a refund. There are very few exceptions to this, but generally a tax refund is your own money paid back a year later. 3 ways to get a refund if you're an actor: over withhold on your W-2 from your employer, overpay on your estimated taxes, which we just talked about, or find credits and deductions to reduce your taxes. And that's pretty much the point of our conversation today, is to look for those valid credits and deductions that reduce your taxes, that reduce the amount that you owe. That's why you need an expert, and that's what Amelia and I are here to help with. We've included an entertainer's audit guide. It was last updated in October of 2015. You'll find it in the bottom of your organizer in a separate link. Let me give you a tip. Don't open this, don't read this unless you're having trouble sleeping. It's a reference in case you need it. It will put you to sleep. When you look at it, don't get intimidated by it. Just call us.
It's an IRS publication.
It's an IRS publication, and it goes on for an extended period of time. The easier thing to do is just pick up the phone and dial a few digits, which are 1-877-828-2976, and get a hold of us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And speaking of, just the last thing, taxes we know are boring. We've tried not to be today. And again, I sincerely thank each one of you for the time that you've spent today. And we have just a little bit of time for question and answer if anybody.
Yeah, Rebecca and I've been going back and forth privately, but she wants to talk to you guys. And so I just told her to contact you separately. Do you want me to, Rebecca, do you want me to answer any questions, ask any questions right now? She's typing in.
Okay.
No, it's okay. I'll contact them privately.
Okay. Yeah, and that's probably best. You know, if you already have an issue where you know you're behind on taxes or you owe money to the IRS, you know, get in touch with us. And like Greg said, you know, we work from home. We're pretty similar to the way Barry does business. So we try to be available, you know, as much as possible to people and try to, you know, be real responsive and get back in touch with you if you have to leave a message or that kind of thing. And you know, and definitely help you get started working with you. So.
Oh, great. And you guys just posted the actor's tax worksheet on here for everyone.
Yeah.
For you guys to download. And like I said, we're going to send these out. We're going to send everything out to you guys on Saturday. We have the email going out, and that will have everything inclusive in that. And hopefully they'll be joining us at our 3-day event as well, because, you know, I want to keep talking with you guys about money because, you know, first of all, you know, you're running a business, and we have to talk about that. We have to think about that, because when we're putting ourselves out there to make money, if we have all these blocks about making money and all these blocks around money, we're probably not going to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we have Bellany for. And for you guys that have already been working with Bellany and know Bellany, that's what we have her for, to help you get those blocks out of your way. And then you come smack up against the money and what you need to ask. So great. Is there any other questions before We say thank you so much for giving us some great information today. Yes, Yelena says, how do I make an appointment with you?
Okay, so what you want to do, just
go to
go
your
out to
site, right?
taxsolversllc.com, and right at the top, there's a real-time online scheduler. It says set an appointment online. There it is. Thank you. So go to set appointment online. Look for the actor's consultation, which is 30 minutes. Whatever time you see available there that works for you, feel free to select it. Let me remind everybody, we are in Pacific time, and that particular schedule is based in Pacific time as well. So if you need to do a time conversion on your own, please do that. But
okay. And then we did have another question come through from Scott, who said, can you just speak briefly about home office expenses?
Yes, I can. It's a good question, Scott. We talked about the potential for audit. If you want to put your tax return at the top of the audit stack, add home office, especially in a situation, maybe not so much where you're running other production, but in an actor situation, it's pretty difficult to claim home office because the IRS expects you to actually do the work where the office exists. And I don't know if you can actually.
Well, this is kind of interesting because it is that, like, if we're putting, I'll put. So I'm going to bring Scott.
And I would say, what I would say is that also is a something that is dependent upon your situation, because obviously, like in Barry's situation and our situation, we work. We do work from home.
So what if they're putting their, like let's take Esme, for example. Esme is in Kansas, right? And she's constantly putting herself on tape for all the auditions. And Scott, you're off mute, by the way. So, so she's actually got a place in her house where she's putting herself on tape and rehearsing her auditions. Could she use that as home office expense then?
Yes. The two rules are the IRS says that has to be an exclusive area that you utilize for that only. Okay, so that's all it can be associated with. When I talk about home office in a negative way, I'm talking about it that way for someone who does not also do other things like have a production company or do coaching or those kinds of things in addition to being an actor. If all you do is act, it's pretty difficult to get a significant portion of home office put through. But yes, you can certainly do that as a part of your Schedule C expenses. And the beauty of home office is then whatever percentage that space is based on your total square footage, you can also take that percentage deductible in utilities like water, electricity, etc.
Right.
So if that space, for example, in her case is 10% of her living space, then 10% of her annual utilities are then deductible.
Perfect.
So yes, it can. You just have to. You can use it in certain situations. You just have to be careful with it. But we're happy to talk about that.
Okay, I have one more, and then I have to run too because I have a client.
Sure.
Hello. I have all these clients. I have a client. So Marla says, thank you, very informative and helpful. What about if you are already earning money from another business, like freelance writing, but you want to start your acting business in 2016 and report expenses? Do I do 2 Schedule Cs or another 1099, I mean?
Yes, you do. You would want to do 2 Schedule Cs, one specific for the acting and one specific for the other entity which already exists. Obviously, if you're doing your taxes yourself, it's not a big deal, but if you are using a professional, you just elevated your expenses because now you have 2 businesses and significant more effort going into getting the work done. But yes, you would do a separate Schedule C for every separate entity that you have. So the one that already exists, and then acting would be a separate Schedule C.
And that would be a situation too where, you know, it would be beneficial to talk to us or to a tax professional, because you want to make sure that you keep things separate. And that's what, you know, we run into a lot, where people, maybe they sell candles and they do this or whatever, you know, and you really have to be careful and try to keep things separate. So you make sure you're maximizing your deductions on each thing that you're doing, you know.
That's
it's
great,
just
because a
cleaner.
lot of these people have like 5,000 things that they do.
Sure,
Yeah.
and we understand. I understand, and that's perfectly acceptable. You just have to make that as clean as possible. So when it comes time to reviewing your tax return, the IRS looks the other way. That's really the point here. We don't want their eyes of scrutiny upon any of our clients.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. It was really informative. Everyone here, if you have more questions, they're giving you a half an hour of their time. So go to taxsolversllc.com, get on their calendar, and talk to them. And you know, and the thing that, you know, I've learned is, like, you know, no one's here to judge you, and we all have had our own bankruptcies or tax problems ourselves, and we know what that's like. We've all had big issues. So don't feel embarrassed if you have a big tax problem. They're the perfect person. They're not here to judge. They're just here to help and to get you through what you need to get through. And thank you so much for being here, you guys. And awesome. And we hope we see you at our 3-day, and but I'll see you soon, because you're family.
And you're welcome. And thank you guys for, you know, spending the time with us.
Yeah.
Because we know it can be kind of boring, and we tried not to make it boring, but we appreciate, you know, you taking the time to look at and think about these things, because they are important.
They are important.
Thanks
All right.
again, everybody. I
Thanks,
appreciate your time.
everyone. Have a great day. And I love you all, clients. It's nice to see all your pretty faces. Okay. All right. Have a good day, y'all.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.